The Rant. Meet Christina and Eric. What grinds their gears? The experts in the fields of architectural design, pre-construction, construction management, fine cabinetry. The Rant, a podcast by One York Company.
That was weak, but weak. We'll try one more time. 1, 2, 3. That was still weak.
Still.
I can't do it third time. Oh, Jesus.
Loud.
All right. What episode are we on?
8.
Oh my God. Episode 9, bro.
8. Yeah. Means we're like pros now, right?
It means we got a show now.
Is there any awards for podcasts? Like they have like the Junos and the Emmys and like the...
Probably.
What's it called?
I don't know.
We should get it.
Mediocre talent.
Whoa. Listen, I don't know about you.
Anybody can have a fucking podcast.
Yeah, but no one's cool and good like us, though.
Yeah. Having a podcast and having a good podcast are different things.
Very different things.
Yes.
Very
We're
different.
entertaining.
For sure. Everybody else, not so much.
Some people just... Oh, is your phone ringing too?
I'm turning it off.
Yeah.
That thing is just, unfortunately, yes. I have no interest in talking, but I don't know who it was though. So it could have been a sales call. Should have probably answered
Could
it.
have been important.
Could have been. Okay.
What are we talking about?
Today-
What is episode 8 about?
Today is about the fact that we also, once again, for our visual listeners, does that make sense? For our visual listeners, we are in a new set once again. So we have
For our visual listeners?
That's right. That's what I said.
You're an idiot.
It sounded weird when I said it took you like 3 or 4 beats to hear it.
Well, no, I didn't think you'd repeat it stupidly twice, but then I was like, no, there it is again.
Listen, it sounds about right to me. It felt good.
For the people listening to this instead of watching,
Yes, but-
we have now switched sets.
No, it's the
For the
opposite.
people watching, you have already recognized that.
Yes, I suppose. Yeah, there you go. I guess you're right. Okay, today, it's exactly, today's point and topic is literally about that exact thing. It's about the gas and the brakes and about good partnerships. And that's what it means. And because I was talking and reading more about there's like divergent and convergent personalities. It doesn't take a wicked guess to figure out between us which one's the divergent, which one's the convergent. Divergent would be me, like shaking a jar of butterflies. And then Christina is like, settle down, settle down. I know there was some sense in there. We'll pull some logic out of that nonsense. So yeah, essentially I think that there's something to be said about, partnerships in general. And so what I'm going to use this as a case study, and I'm going to have every opportunity for you to shoot me down, is just I want to talk about our marketing and the new business and how we're changing and how essentially, in the quest for knowledge, in my readings in the morning, we're honing in on the niches that we are servicing and our service offering and the successes and failures around the marketing of it in different ways. But then also because of that, it's our deeper understanding of our clients and essentially their needs and who we serve best within the milieu of pre-construction and construction management in the city of Toronto. So here we go. On the highest level.
Here we go.
Christina hates this. I heard this somewhere and now she hates it. It says, riches are in the niches.
Because it's not niche, and then it doesn't rhyme, and it also just sounds like bitches when you say it.
You never said that before, though.
I
wouldn't
all
have said that.
fucking hear.
Man.
Bitches are in the niches, and I'm like,
You never said that
Yes,
off
no.
camera. And I said that like 7 times, so I thought that was going to be funny. And now you make me sound misogynistic. That was, what the fuck?
it's just what I hear. It's not like.
Did you hear the train a coming and now you wanted to throw me under it? Was that what just happened there?
There's more room under the company bus than on it.
Oh my God, I almost lost my coffee. Okay, that was not the start I was anticipating.
I can't.
Fuck.
My real issue with it is around the non-rhyming and the mispronunciation of the last word. The first
It's
word.
only mispronounced if you don't believe that it's pronounced niche. I agree, it's pronounced niche. However, I'm sure there's a great
Can we
portion
get a poll? Any of you, feel free to comment.
Yeah, is
Send
it
us
niche or
messages. Niche or niche?
I gotta think it's niche. But people say dumb
think
words.
so,
words
but like niche.
Okay, here-
I don't know. Do we spell bitch with an E? No.
beach.
No. It changes the context. Do you spell itch with an E? No. Like,
Oh my God, you're messing me up.
fuck.
Okay, well, there's other words okay, here's some funny words that people mispronounce. Here, instead of saying film, right?
Film.
Film or
Where'd you get that extra I?
it's not.
Film.
You can't
Name
take
of
it
my
from
sex tape.
one. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god. You can't you can't make it. What's this called again? Like dun, dun, like that sound called something. Consonants.
Syllables?
Syllables. There we go.
No consonants or anything other than A, E, I, O, U, and sometimes Y.
Gotcha. Okay, great. So you can't be throwing extra
Syllables.
syllables in there. I almost said consonants again. Jesus.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So
Consonants
film
or
is weird.
anti-vowels.
Bagel. Who says bagel? Bagel.
Bagel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pillow. Palo.
Oh, God,
Oh,
that
do you
one
know
gets me.
You know what my wife said to me? My Emery said to me. This one was great. Instead of saying, she's like, for sure. I'm like, sure?
Oh, sure.
No, sure.
Sure.
Sure. And then I started going through my kids. I'm like, Xavier, it's like, say for sure. And he goes, sure.
Sure.
And then Marcella goes, sure. I'm like, oh no.
Oh, we're divided.
We got to split here.
Yeah, I got a kid that throws the full T's in there. Cotton.
Yeah.
Toronto. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like the double T's and anything. Get both of them. They're there. It's not cotton. It's
Yeah.
cotton.
I mumble through a whole bunch of my shit, so that makes me feel bad. Oops. Okay, where were we? Yeah, okay, so gas and
Bitches,
brakes.
niches and bitches.
Niches and bitches. Oh yeah, there we go. Niches. So our niche, and if you're listening to it, so we like to work with people in Toronto proper, right? So that's like the real Toronto, not people who are like, I live in Brampton, which is
GTA.
like fucking, and then you say you live in Toronto. That's not true. You don't. I mean,
You live in Brampton. You're a different municipality.
yeah, I feel like Young Street's too far west, but that's me being a fucking hardcore East Ender.
Yeah.
Right, but anyways.
If your hydro bill doesn't say Toronto Hydro,
Yeah, that's a good sign. If your fire hydrants aren't yellow, like the red ones, I was in New York region. I'm like, why do they have fucking yellow and blue fire hydrants? What the fuck is that?
yeah,
Like, why did you change that?
I don't know.
I don't even want to get into it. And
like
the cop cars-
transitioning into Quebec.
Yeah.
You're just
Like,
like,
your lights are
where am I?
horizontal. Get the fuck out of here. You're not even close to goddamn Toronto. Get the fuck out of here with that shit. Yeah. So where were we again? Yeah.
Toronto proper.
Toronto proper. That's the first category. First subset. Toronto proper. Old houses, big renos, type A personalities, changing needs in a family. That's it. That's our demographic. That's our niche. And they're certainly not bitches, because that would be rude. And now you're the one who said that for the first time. So, anyways, so
So you're
Toronto
talking about
proper.
him about it.
I know, right? I'm trying to recover here. Toronto proper, old houses, big renos, type A personalities, and
Changing family needs.
changing family needs. Yeah, because I mean, ultimately, like here's the truth: is like, you know, our service offerings for pre-construction and construction management, type A personalities become kind of like the threshold, because like it's a relationship. When you engage somebody like us, you're going to be like, if it's going to be ARC and pre-con together, you're 6 months. If it's ARC, pre-con, and construction management, you're there for a year. And I have to talk to you for a year, every week, frequently. And there's going to be a huge amount of
Also,
information.
though, there's
We
like
got to get along, and I only get along with type A personalities because they're the only people that can put up with me.
in this relationship, there's a dominant and a submissive role.
Oh my God. Okay.
The fact is
Wow.
that we work best with clients who prefer to be the passenger on that ride.
Really? Is that what it is?
Yes.
Huh.
Yes.
Like I'm
because
learning this too now.
They're coming to us for direction. They're coming to us because we know what we're doing. Like, you've been there before you drive.
Sure.
Right?
But
Like,
you know what? I think that's also part of the type of personality, recognizing that, like, if there is someone who's done this before, it's best to listen and learn, and then just be like, okay, good. I'm going to, that's, because like the ultimate
I
goal
will
is,
follow your lead.
because the category of a type A personality is someone who's hyper competitive. And if needing to listen is part of the steps in order to win, then I will listen because I want to win, right? If the dream outcome is that, like,
If it's me versus you, then we're competing against each
Yes.
other. But like, if the overarching goal is like winning means the success of the project, then they're happy to take the back seat and let you do what they've hired you to do, instead of interfering in the.
yes, but it's essentially, it's not us against them. The setup more is like us arm in arm versus the world.
Right, but that's what I'm saying though. But like, type A's typically are adversarial in terms of you versus them versus you, whatever.
That's because they're hyper competitive. So I suppose you are right in that regard. You are right in that regard. So where are we at on this subject one more time? So type A personalities, that is the people that we want to spend time with doing these particularly long throw tasks, because that's under the do it for you model. Like of our subsets of things that we offer, the do it for you model is for the pre-construction and for the construction management, and the done for yourself or DIY or done with you model will be our course content that we want to put out there to allow people to navigate the market of pre-construction and construction safely, just by the sharing of general information and checklists that will become widely available to you, and therefore you can keep your foot out of shit in hiring people.
And there's the plug.
Oh, that's the plug. I plugged it in. I didn't actually mean to, but I'm just, this is part of the conversation about gas and brakes. It's that like I have to run my ideas through you quite often, because then you will come down at this at a very different angle, and you'd be like, that's either brilliant or stupid, and it usually lands hard in one camp or the other. It's not usually in the middle. So it's
I'm
like,
nothing if not decisive. You might not like the decision, but you certainly won't be waiting for one.
No, you're going to get it one way or the other. So, I mean, that's just, we're running through that information. But here's the other part to it, is I wanted to talk about the idea of where our market currently sits at. If you wanted to hire somebody, and I think I've said this more than once, but if you wanted to look at hiring an architect, a good quality architect is someone who's going to be anywhere between like $10,000 and $12,000 for a whole home design in the city of Toronto. Like that's where the majority of people sit. And then if you want to hire an interior designer for someone who like to fit out, that house once it's gone through architectural design and engineering, usually has a permit, like to fit that house out just for you, to be a reflection of you and your personality and all of your needs, you're in that $25K kind of ballpark for someone, once again, on the upper side of good. All things said, we were shit in the market to sell to those people independently. Like we are not good before, when we used to advertise just to architectural design and just to doing the interior design work. We are far more effective in advertising as an entire package doing the entire thing, which I find really interesting. Like I was having a hard time selling architectural drawings at $10,000 to $12,000, but then I started selling them as a design package that was comprehensive at $50,000.
The combined value of that, it's two really big bucket items that if you fit in with each other and you can do it in one, it's like that modifier when you sell things, right? It's like, okay, like if I'm gonna buy one package of these, it's $12. If I'm gonna buy 2 packs, so I need 12 of them. I've got 2 packs. It's $24, whatever that is. But if I could buy what I need for marginally less than that, than the combined value or whatever that is, it's like, why wouldn't I do that? It's going to save me ordering twice. It's going to save me unboxing twice. There's less garbage. Like it just makes sense, right? There's a point where I think people recognize the value in bundling those two, especially when you get into the handoff of information and how critical that is, and understanding, that the, offshoot of the design from ARC and that budget leading into pre-construction, and how much that sets the parameters for what we're doing moving forward.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's exactly right. I mean, ultimately, here's the trick, is that offering people comprehensive help is a very different thing, because it's keeping their best interests in mind, and it's an all things considered kind of perspective. Like if anything falls off the rails, like we're your person. Where's that from? I'm your
it's
person.
Like, honestly, it's like having a personal shopper versus going to fucking IKEA and pulling everything off the shelf for yourself.
Right. Yeah.
This microphone, if you're watching, will drive Eric crazy.
Well, it's because it's the same thing as last episode. When you don't know how to point a phone camera at somebody, and you're like, oh, can you see this? Can you see this?
I naturally gravitate towards where I can see, and because I'm a fucking elf, can't see anything. Yes. So I move over.
I was trying to get a microphone stand that was miniature.
Lower?
Yes, I tried. Those ones are marginally smaller.
Maybe this sits lower and it's like tilted up. Maybe that's the answer, but
just tilted down.
Well, I don't mean that. Then this part's in the way. I mean, like the actual stem of it is lower, and then.
Or just don't make the stem as high.
I didn't make anything.
No, I'm saying you
this
personally.
It's not my department. One thing I'm just like, fuck it, do it. Tell me where to sit. Make sure you get the lighting right. Make sure my head doesn't look like a goddamn beach ball.
Right, that's fair enough.
And then I have a jawline. Like those are my parameters.
That's
Other
it.
than that, I don't care.
What was it last episode? You're like, I want to change sides, and I'm like, no problem. I look awesome on both sides, and I was like, yes. I was like, because it doesn't.
You do. Yeah. You did look good on both sides.
It's so fresh.
I unfortunately gravitate towards this one.
We did headshots for the company, and like the camera person was like, okay, we're gonna do headshots. I'm like, I'll go first, and I literally walked up to the camera, and I was like, you ready? And she was like, yeah, and I'm like, 3, 2, 1, and I smiled. One photo, not one set of photos, one photo. I'm like, that's good. And then it is arguably it's like the most candid photo of me I've ever had.
Yeah, and then Michael took like 95 of me, and I was like, "What the fuck are you doing? Like, why is this so hard?" And you were like, "Give me the phone. Like, can you just give me 5 seconds here with the iPhone?" You're like, "Turn." I'm like, "Yes." It was 3 shots.
Yeah.
Like, we did take more than one, but like
it was done.
Substantially less. And I was like, "Was that so fucking hard? Like, don't shoot my head square on. It's a big giant box covered in curls. Like, it's square. Please don't fucking like just this. I'm not a 2D figure. I am meant to be not like an isometric view here.
Isometric view.
Like 45-degree angles only."
I need a transverse cross section on my face, please. Can you make sure there's a scale? Which way's north, motherfucker?
Somebody capture the high cheekbones.
Last
for
revised
Christ's
by issued for construction.
sake. Yes. I'd rather be issued for construction than look like I'm under construction, which is what those deadpan straight ones look like.
Yeah.
Like a video Jordan shot where I look like I'm like 80 pounds heavier than I am. It was for like National like Women's Day or Women in Construction or something.
Yeah, that was weird. I don't know how
and
they
like
did that.
I
was
had
like
people I know be like, "Do I just like you that much that I didn't actually realize you were that size?" And I'm like, "No, you fucker, I'm not."
Yeah, that was an unfortunate. I don't know how the hell that camera did that.
It's
like
still on. If anybody's interested, it's still on our fucking
website?
Instagram feed.
Oh, Instagram. Oh yeah, it's brutal. Now we're gonna have people scrolling that shit. They'll actually leave some likes and like throwing down episode 8. Ha ha ha.
Yes. That's what I would look like if I ate another human being.
We're stung by a bee.
Yeah, right. I hitched that.
Anyways, okay, so where did we get through on this? What were they saying? I was saying that we weren't successful selling them separately. Selling them together works way better. Selling them together does work way better on the premise that doing all things and only doing all things for our clients is the only fucking way to go. Like, I am just over the fact. Last episode, you have one little stretch of the last episode. You're like, "I'm not going to validate myself to other people." And like, it's like, I rewatched that and I'm like, that was pretty intense. And then I was like, but you're right. Because it's like, fuck it. Like, we're in the point now where it's like, listen, like, if you don't like the idea around letting us do everything for you, that's cool. Let other people do it. But I can fucking guarantee you that on logic alone, that having someone fully accountable for something as important as this, it's not like when they, like, I'm going to use the examples of like Elon Musk or whatever, another space thing. Because it's usually when you have something that's hyper complicated and it has multidisciplinary kind of inputs, they don't outsource the key elements. Elon Musk is not going to be like, "You know what? For my project, I'm gonna outsource that fucking software," or like something. Like, he's gonna be like, "I'm gonna build that shit too," because then there's continuity in the logic.
I mean, outsource the material, not the putting together of it.
Right, exactly. Bad idea. It's not gonna happen. Like, that's just not.
It is. It's not that I'm like, yeah. As much as it came aggressive, or maybe it came across aggressive, that I'm like, I'm not interested in justifying my competence or my capability or my skill set to other people. What it is I am so viscerally fucking protective of my time, because I have so much to do and I am responsible for so much to so many people that I am not interested in wasting it in exchanges that could be avoided.
Right.
That's really what it comes down to.
Can I try reframing that in a nicer way, potentially?
Sure.
It's like you have the greatest appreciation for our clients' well-being that any effort that isn't dedicated to their sole interest and benefit, if that energy is wasted, then it's a misappropriation of your time.
Yes, because like through pre-construction and through all the design work and all of that stuff, like our whole goal is to get people something that's like highly coveted space for them as a family. Like, I get to know these people intimately. And so like when I'm putting together things that are to be executed, bifurcating the responsibility of that is not interesting to me, because it's like the likelihood of that going wrong for these people who then have, this situation that they'll be unhappy with is higher, and it's avoidable. And I don't want that. I don't want them to experience that. I don't want to experience that. Like it's one of those things where it's like, if you walk into a door because it's closed once, okay, great. But like, if you know that the door is closed and you walk into it and there's a high likelihood that you're going to get hurt again, like, why would you do that, right? Like, find a better way.
For sure.
And the better way is not to hand things off, because all of the single point failures that could potentially occur are eliminated.
Oh my God.
So it's like you're safeguarding. It's like, you know what it's like? It's like by not handing it off to other people and by keeping it in one group of people within all of those major transitions, it's like toddler proofing your house. You know what I mean? Like you could smash your eyeball off the corner of the table because you're just at that height, but we've protected you from that. And you could, knock the hot coffee off the table. We've protected you from that. And so it's like we've done all the safeguarding so that you get to just wander around in this lovely experience and enjoy it.
Half of it is also that like it's like we've learned these lessons the hard way. Like I can tell you that like we learned about cabinetry and like how important it is for us to have our own cabinetry company and do all the design work and all the installation and all the manufacturing and being responsible for that entire service offering from front to back. I can only tell you that from experience where it's like your face just now, it's like I have goosebumps. Like visceral anger towards other people, not understanding, disappointment, sadness, shame, like horrible emotions. Like I've been on like a roller coaster of like emotion. I think I have like PTSD from this business because it's like there's nothing that makes me more upset than when I make a promise to somebody and then for some reason or another someone else fucking makes that promise not come true. And so it's like that's why I've been like, you know what? I'm never letting that fucking happen because I will only promise things that I can control as best as I can.
And the more the world is doing what it's doing and people are becoming what the fuck they're becoming.
Be more specific. What does that mean?
It means that people don't care. People don't care. And like when you are faced with a group of people who don't care as much as you do, it is not of the same level of importance or value to them.
Right.
It might just be a job to them. It's just one and a number. It's not to me.
No.
And it's not to you.
It's my life's fucking work.
That's the difference, I think. And so that's why it's super important. And I'm like, that's why we're control freaks to a degree. And that's why I do what I do to the specificity that I do it. Because it's like, there are so many people out there that just don't care. I cannot hold them to the expectation that I would hold myself, unfortunately. And because of that, I feel the need to bridge all of the gaps so nobody falls off the fucking bridge as we're holding hands across.
Right. And that's it. I mean, like it's funny because like I want to go two ways on this. One is that like this even happens to us with our subcontractors. Even with our most trusted subcontractors, this happens. Because like in essence, this is the deal when I hire a subcontractor. My clients or our clients hire us, right? Because we are putting their needs as a priority in our lives, right? And it's not just asking me to do the specific task, but the peripheral and implications of the task within the context of their life. In the same way, I hire my, whatever they may be, the trade to complete work at my behest for the benefit of my client. But what we're doing here is that flow through of money is keeping that client's interest at heart and therefore my interest at heart. And therefore you're executing your job, that subtrade, they're completing that work. But if they don't care about my well-being and then by proxy, they don't care about the client's well-being, then I don't want to work with you, right? Yeah. I don't want to work with you. I want you to have pride in your work. I want you to be serious about it. I want you to come prepared and I want you to be a professional.
Not only that, I want you to share enough respect with me that you're going to go and you're going to do a good job because like, it's not even if it's not about the client for you because you don't have a personal relationship, you and I have a personal relationship and that should fucking matter. And if it doesn't, then you're not the right fucking person for the team. And you can do great work, but like if at the end of the day, you just throw your arms and you're like, fuck it. They'll deal with it. Fuck it. It's her problem. You don't, if you make your problem my problem because you can't solve it, that's one thing we tackle it together. If you make your problem my problem because you don't fucking care,
that's a different thing.
That's a different thing.
Yeah, and I like what you just said there because it's true. Honestly, if people come to me with problems and they're legitimate problems, like, look, I'm here. I've now made a mistake. I don't necessarily know how to get out of it. I want to be part of the solution. I want you to be happy. I want to get through this. I may have made a fucking no-no somewhere along the line here, but together let's work to figure this out. I'm with you 1,000%. I will dig us out of this hole because it's honest. Like if I think about even when my kids fucking do something, it's like or whatever, and I compare to my kids because that's the part of my life I'm in. But when they do something stupid or bad or negatively affects the team or the group or the pack, the family unit, it's like, did you mean to do something stupid or did you just do something stupid? But if you lie about doing something stupid, now I'm angry at you for a wholly fucking different reason, right? And I'm having that trouble with my oldest right now where he does bad things and then tells a story. He was in the principal's office the other day because he was joking around with a friend and his friend hit his head on a sink and then had to go home. Like it was not great. But then he went to the office like 20 minutes later. He was like, I hit my head too. And then Emery was like, got a call from the teacher and the teacher was like, yeah, he's got an ice pack on his head. And he was like, talking to him around the phone, like, hit my head on my temple. And then, you know, when she got there, he was holding his ice pack on top of his head. It's like, you fucking liar. You did not get hit in the temple. That is not your temple. And you know what a temple is. And then he saw him and he went, and he moved it back towards his temple. I'm like, you fucking son of a bitch. It's like when we catch, like, if you ever catch us a country saying something, it's like, remember the time I caught the carpenter and he was like giving me fucking math about how many people he had on site? And I'm like, so you were here 14 hours a day for every 5 days? Like, that's the number. Like, I know you only have 3 people. Let's back
Yeah,
up
let me back that out for you.
It's like, don't do that. Don't lie to me. Then I don't trust you. Right? Anyways, where did we go on this? Fuck it. Where were we? I think the point was care, bringing it to
the handoff. It was like the handoff and why that's not.
Yeah. Hard learned lessons. And that's why sometimes we can be a bit grouchy around these things. It's because it's like, I always feel like there's not enough time to help as many people as I want to. And I think that's probably the next, I know. You looked at me like you're asking, you promise too much to people or too many people and then we can't get through them all. I'm like, I know.
The word that we want to learn, children, is no. No, I'm sorry. I would love to help you, but I can't.
I know, but do you know why that's hard? Because it's like...
I don't know. We have opposite uses of that word.
Because it's like, I had another conversation with a guy today about he wants to build a home in Mississauga, South Mississauga. Or not building the home. I know you don't like building out there. But anyways, so he has a home and he wants to downsize because that's when he has 2 kids, but he has a monstrous home, like 4,000 plus square feet. And he's like, frankly, he's like, with everything going up, I just don't need a house that big. We want to get something smaller and we know how to live small because we came from the city or something like that.
Yeah.
That's the motivation behind it. Anyway, so he wants to buy an older home and renovate it. And like, honestly, like we didn't know for sure if it was less expensive to take an older South Mississauga wartime bungalow and renovate it or build a new house. And I'm like, renovating is going to be less expensive, definitively. Because essentially, at the outset, the cost of the foundation and excavation and demolition will be less. And then by the time you get to the next big players like framing and MEP, like you paint with a big brush first in construction, so it's more expensive generally, and then dwindles down into not as few expensive trays, but many inexpensive trays until you get to the cabinetry, but whatever. The point is that it will be less expensive, but like with only choice pivotal information, which is so easy for us to share, I feel like we can divert so many poor decisions in the general public. And that's kind of where we're going next. It's like, yeah, I'm going to talk about our advertising and our marketing and where we're going next in the company is that we will never drift away from doing a certain number of pre-construction projects, dwindling down to a 4-to-1 ratio of construction projects, whatever that number may be. I say 48, you say less than that because you think that's fucking insane. But whatever, we're going to work with those numbers. And that's our service offering that we're offering, one-to-one, do-it-for-you method. Those are our choice clients. Then there will be, beneath that, a service offering that we will have for course and content to people in general who have access to what I want to create is a repertoire of courses, essentially, that revolve around the ideas that if I could speak to 10-year-ago me, who didn't know anything about really construction in general, who came at this as a homeowner, if I had to explain to that person, me, how to do what we do now in a concise way and get them through this, that would be the course from start to finish.
I'm prepared to help you with your problem, but I'm not prepared to make it mine.
Right,
I can help you. I can give you some guidance. I can like have a conversation with you to guide you in the right direction and whatever. But like, if you're not the right fit, you're not the right fit. And
it's not even about the right fit. It's like, it doesn't even make sense because like, it doesn't make sense for people to do pre-construction planning with us
under a certain amount
under $500,000 because then we're breaking that 10% rule. Like 10% of all your costs of your project occur prior to a shovel hitting the ground. And that's the cost of pre-construction.
I think that my sensitivity around like, you're often like, yes, this unique thing, let's try this. And I'm like, no, we need to stay within our wheelhouse. We need to stay whatever. Because it's like, what people fail to understand is that we are a group of people. And we are a finite resource also. Right. You know, like I am not available to you 24 hours a day times 8 months, right? Yeah. Like, you know, like there's a tap on that energy, that resource. Like there are other things that need to be accomplished there. There's only so much that goes into that. And so it's like often that gets taken for granted. And so the minute that we step out and stretch beyond our bounds, because we have clients who need more support, we have clients who need less support, you know what I mean? Like they range in terms of that. But stepping outside of that boundary to say build in Mississauga or something that's geographically far, like maybe not different in terms of complexity or whatever we do, but just the geographic location is enough to tip the scales to make it outside of something that wouldn't put a strain on things that already exist in our world or affect the trajectory of the other things that we have in the pipeline that we want to develop in terms of resources to help more people on a broader scale. So I'm learning to put things into perspective and not just look at the micro thing of that one incident. It's like, how does that butterfly effect affect all of the things around it and the finite resources? Because at the end of the day, we have a great team, but they're a team of people who also have limitations and personal boundaries and all of the things that go along with that. And I think that sometimes people forget that we are people too.
Right. And that's fair. And you know what? And that's part of the whole gas and brakes partnership. How I started this episode is like, that's it. I mean, ultimately, it's like we are honing in exactly on who to help and how to help best, recognizing the constraints and abilities more explicitly that we are bringing to the table and therefore are able to better match up with. But it's funny because it's like, it's an interesting thing to find those limitations because the arena and the canvas of this business exists in a far greater capacity. I'm just really interested in what we're doing now, and I'm very happy and proud of the fact that I'm learning to say no, but it's at the cost of you losing your mind with me, because it's like I oftentimes do say, like, I want to engage people for, pre-construction at like 30K instead of 50, and it's like, because I really like, Arami and like her story, and she has a new baby and I get that. And like they bought a new house and it's in our neighborhood and I love that neighborhood and I want to renovate that house because I know I could nail it.
You know why?
But it's only like 30K. And I'm like, it's only want to do like a 300K reno. And I'm like, but we could do it. And then it's like, but that's not going to get us into the position where we're helping people consistently the best with the resource we have and making processes. And I'm like, fuck,
that's
you're
the
right.
thing though, like you're on the people side. So you are on the sales side and you're peopling all day long. And I am on an analytical train of like, make this fucking shit happen.
Right.
And like, let's get it in and let's get done with it and all of our loose ends tied up so that it makes construction easy. So the clients have their packages. So you know what I mean? But it's like, so yeah, I'm often like, I feel like all I say is no. I feel like all I say is no, we're not doing that, because you're like, yes, these people and you get that side of it. But if we switched buckets for a little while.
I could never fucking do your job. I could never fucking do it. I could never do it. It's like I see the things that you create and I'm like, oh wow, that is so organized. It's like, that's insane. It's like, my brain is just not like that.
And we are both in the arena that we are best suited to be in, for sure. But like, yes, there's like, it's like that filter of like only the things that are right get through. It's got to be like the right size, the right amount of pieces through the filter cloth to get to the other side. Because
I had
it's
a
like
mental image of it in my mind, and it was like created a circle, and the top half of the circle was essentially me, and it's like the divergent bit, and then you're the convergent bit, and it's like both sides of the circle. I don't know why that jumped into my head, and then I thought I was using an hourglass
we got
analogy.
an iceberg here, kids.
Oh yeah, I mean, but I think in pictures. I mean, that's how I work. Like you'll like if you ever come into the office and meet me in person, like all of what I do is like I make doodles on a board, and then I doodle my way through logic, and then I use shitty analogies, and somehow it makes sense.
But
and then
what
we
happens
get
is
there.
that when you do that for people, and as you should, you're simplifying the process, right? And you're showing them that what you're showing them is that the visible part of the iceberg. What they don't fucking see on the back end is like the insanity and complexity that happens to make that look like it's easy. It's not easy. What we do is not easy. Asking for a budget update is not like me pressing a button and inputting. It's like 2 weeks of intensive analytics.
But you know what? That's interesting to say it like that, because I know for some companies, I'm sure that doing that is like, if you didn't give a fuck what the budget update said, then you could have it in 2 minutes.
I can give you a budget, but
it's
like,
not gonna, what's the point, right?
I know why you're asking for the budget, and for me to answer the questions that you're going to ask or the things that you need out of this budget, in order to just calm your fears or, do your financing or whatever the reason is that you've asked for this, it requires me to be able to do that part of it. Otherwise, I can just give you numbers. But numbers without the proper context are not going to fucking help you.
No, they're not. But like it's just interesting because it's like I just find that interesting. The way you say that, it makes it sound like you don't care, but it's like what's actually happening is that you care so much.
I care too much. And that's the thing is like it needs to be right because I know where you're going for it. And I know the anxiety that I have. If like when somebody gives me something and I'm like, okay, you did that. That was great. It was really fast. And then I find out that the numbers are wrong. It's like, well, fuck, how much of it's right? Right? Because it's I don't want to create that with clients. Right. What we need to create is the clarity around it. And unfortunately, that requires time in order to do it. Because if what you're asking for is a budget, what you should be asking for is the peace of mind around your financial resource.
Right.
Where am I at? I don't need a budget update. I need to know how much more money do we need to spend before we get to the end? Because that's what you want to know.
Okay. On that, that's a great segue. I'm going to bring this up. So, I mean, I have a diagram. And then maybe in the video we'll include this. But essentially, here's some what I call the big domino of our industry. The big domino is something that if I can prove that this is true, then working with other people in the industry other than us is just not going to be not just silly, it'd be irresponsible. and I'm basically there at this point where the logic is that if you hire somebody for 1/6 of something, then they're only 1/6 accountable, and 1/6 accountability means non-accountable.
Oh yeah, if you're just tasked with bringing the forks to the party, but
the quality of the party,
cake and you
the
don't
quality
know
of the party is just like you don't even know what kind of forks you need. It's like I would even be like, is this like an appetizer fork? Is it a dinner fork? Is it a plastic fork? Are we eating lasagna? Like, are we like what the fuck is the plan? Do we have a dishwasher? Is it going to be biodegradable? Should it be white plastic? Should it be black plastic?
But nobody thinks like that, and it's like you and I in our day to day think like that. If I said to you forks, you would ask 4 questions or 5 questions around like, how many, what color, what texture, what are they for? Are we throwing them out? Are we keeping them? Yeah, right? Like there's
what are we eating? Is it going to be like, are we going to be napkins? Like napkins for ribs, napkins for pizza, napkins for
fucking cocktail napkins, or do I need to like keep this all
bounty.
Dinner? Like, exactly.
Fucking million things.
But that's not everybody's default. Like, and that's why you and I work well. While we are vastly different in lots of ways, we're also grossly similar in lots, and that's one of them, which is like the details and like the kinds of questions. You're the only other human I would like not give a list that was like 19 questions long to, because I know you would ask them inherently. It would just be a fucking thing, right? Like
it was even when we were hanging the paper towel holder in the showroom downstairs. Was it 6:30 in the morning on Tuesday?
Yeah.
And you like told me to hang the paper towel. I'm like, okay, and there was a paper towel holder, and we had to stick it to like the Patagonia marble in our showroom, which is like uber fancy, granite, whatever. See, this is the attention to detail again. Gas brakes. And so, but it was like one component was 80% of it was like the towel holder, and then there was a hanger for like for the towel that you would hang on it. And so I'm like, is it centered of the entire unit or centered of the towel holder?
Centered of the back bar or centered of the rectangular bar in the front that's visible? Like where are we going?
Right. And then there was like 3 or 4 other follow-ups as to like, and how long is the towel that we're hanging on this thing?
And then we got the laser level.
And then that happened. We got the laser level. So I'm like, I'm not fucking this up, because once it goes on there, it's a one-way ticket, baby.
It's true though, but like we're cut from the same cloth in that way. Like our new project manager was his very first day, 6 seconds in, and we went to put up. We had these adhesive like push pin like panels that went up, and he was tasked with doing it himself. And the first one, he was like top left corner, and I was like trying to bite my tongue for once in my life. I was like, how do I say this play? Like Eric walks by, it's like, it's crooked, and it was like, but yes, like either one of us, we would have either just said it was crooked and made you take them down and do them again, or the guy would have come in and somebody would have readjusted all of the board.
Yeah, the kind of thing that I would do is that I would get there the next day and I'd take it all down and put it back up, and just not say anything, and just be like, oh my god, thank God.
Right, because it's like it eats at you, but
it kills me.
Most people are not conditioned that way.
But that's something that's important, is like as a baseline in this industry, and like maybe this is like part of the training that we do for people, or like when we start trying to bring the information that we've coveted. Like imagine that, like just for listeners here, imagine that in that level of detail that we just kind of explained about like putting up a paper towel holder. Christina and I for the last 5 years have done this for every aspect of construction, for every trade, for every task on site, for every transition between those trades, and all of the things that you need as like a what should I have checklist before I start this endeavor of the next kind of segment of my renovation or pre-planning for that renovation. And that information is like disgusting. Your Excel sheets and like the detail that they're in, and then like the general like life lessons. It's like almost all anecdotal. It's like, let me tell you a story about how this fucking went wrong and now I learned this.
Yeah.
Right?
Everything I do, there's a reason that I do it. Like there's nothing that was just an arbitrary decision. Like
I learned by making mistakes
in anything. But like the other problem I find is that yes, super detailed and all that is great. But then I also am finding that people have come to just rest on that. And it's like, I'm not here to solve your fucking problems. Like sometimes the trades are, because they know that we will traditionally come to the rescue, I'm finding more and more the expectation that they're being spoon-fed. They're like millennial children, right?
That's mean.
It can be mean, it can be whatever.
You know
but
what it is though? It's like,
spoon feed me. Spoon feed me because I know that you have it right there and I know that you can and you have in the past. It's like it's setting up boundaries. Like, and I think that's one thing if I were to go back and I would to do differently, I would be providing the information but with a stronger expectation that like you are expected to fucking execute this on your own. Like I'll give give you the tools, but like
I think because you have high expectations of people. And what's even more upsetting about the entire fucking thing is that you know that they could do it, and that some people, I don't do it,
you fucking will.
And that's where it is.
But you'll call me 6 times to ask me to do it to make your life easier because you're being lazy, and you know that I'll fucking get frustrated with you and I'll do it. But it's like, I'm not. I'm at the threshold where I'm like, no, you know what? Fuck, figure it out. Figure it out. Like, not my problem.
But you know what it is? Maybe that you just pass on to Renato that responsibility because then it's his thing. Because like he needs to because what's going to happen next is that like he's someone people are going to start asking him because they're going to know. It's like oh my God, it's like kids.
Christina does it.
Can I have chocolate before dinner?
Mom lets me.
You're like no, and then then you hear like fucking in another room. Can I have chocolate before dinner? Like to Anne Marie, and I'm like. I said, motherfucker, I said, no, goddammit, no, you cannot have fucking chocolate before dinner. And that's what Renato's going to be like. He's like, people are going to ask you shit, and then they're going to be like, no. And then they're going to ask him shit, and then he's going to say yes.
What's going to happen is they're going to ask him first, and he's going to say no. Yes. And then they're going to come to me and be like, yeah, so can we just like, and it's like, no.
Fuck you.
No, the answer is no.
One more mean thing or something specific to somebody else. Give me something else. Someone specific.
Oh, no, I can't.
Come on.
No, something specifically mean?
No, not mean. It doesn't have to be mean, but specific on the pretense that nobody else is listening.
Nobody else is listening?
Oh, I'm going to go say, Mike, our electrician, thank you for listening to our podcast and sending us that screenshot. It made me feel special.
Yes, that was the highlight of my morning. It's like when one of your trades like sends you the screenshot and you're on the radio and it's like, oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. So.
Oh my God, another one is like Natalie from my kid's school, a friend of ours and a friend of my wife, said that she loved our podcast and then she like listened to all of them in a row and then she thought it was hilarious and then she said she cackled by herself. And
they're actually pretty funny.
We're
super assholes sometimes, but yes, it's funny.
But I think that is great.
It's funny because it's true.
It's true. Yeah. No, we're not likable one-to-one. One to many. You
Maybe.
Can spread that shit out.
I don't know, you say that, but then like people are weirdly receptive to us also one-to-one.
It's very odd.
I know.
All right. On that note, episode 9 will come up soon. What?
Name of my sex tape.
Done.